All right, thank you for attending. This is the Town of Southbridge Capital Planning Committee meeting, Thursday, October 7th at 6 p.m. In attendance is Councilor Dow and myself, Mike Marchetti, also the town manager and Karen Harnois. First order of business is to discuss using Munis to upload entire inventory of town assets, value of $10,000 or more. So Karen, I'll leave it up to you.
Yep, so I have some updates on that. So I've created the file in the format that's needed for Munis. I'm just doing some refreshing of some databases or whatever, and then I'm going to try to import it. So it's in its final stages, hopefully it being put into Munis. I have received the, and I'll just say, you know how I sent out to the departments and asked them to update the lists for me, and I've received most of those back. So I'll be working on that as well for fiscal 21 to deleting any assets that had been disposed of and cleaning up the report too.
Okay, sounds good. Town manager, did you want to say anything?
No, I think that may be the easiest way to get the inventory, since the school, is my understanding, led with going to Munis. It's a costly program. If we have that functionality within it, it would be probably the best use of that software to leverage it to do this. And where a lot of that stuff is already in there, it would avoid a duplication of effort. So I thought I didn't see a problem using that. And oftentimes that can be exported very quickly to Excel, and then that data can be manipulated however anybody wants it, and you can immediately eliminate anything below 10,000. So it seems like a reasonable way, at least in the beginning stages. I know you've mentioned you may be looking at other capital software down the road, but if we're going to include an inventory, this would be the easiest way to accomplish it, I think, and without too much extra effort. That's the one thing we've talked a little bit, and I've shared it with others. Karen has a very new assistant. We're in a stage right now where we're doing a lot of the reporting for CARES, for all these things coming at once. So we're going to want to try and accommodate all the requests here, but also as we get through COVID, then we can maybe look at all the other stuff too, and the financing and any of that. So.
Okay, it sounds good. Yeah, when I spoke about using other software, I wasn't sure Munis was going to work, but it sounds like it's going to work to me, so excellent. I know that I went back to look at the records, and we spent a lot of money on Munis.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very costly program.
$600,000.
Yeah.
School split it with us, so
Right.
we should be able to use it.
Yeah.
I know that I did ask the receiver if he would send someone over to talk to us about it, how they use Munis. Thought that would help us a lot along the way, and also discuss what capital needs they have. He did send me an email, and I'll read it just for the record. Good afternoon, Councilor Marchetti. I recently discussed the capital needs of the schools with Councilor Jovan. I plan on attending an upcoming EHS meeting to begin a conversation about how we might address the millions of dollars of capital needs within the school buildings. I believe this is the essential starting point of the involvement of the schools in the capital discussions. I appreciate your invitation, but I do not believe I can provide substantive input to the format of the town capital planning process. Once the format is set, I will be happy to assist in communicating the myriad of capital needs that exist within the schools. Thank you. Regards, Jeffrey Villar, PhD, Receiver, Superintendent, Southbridge Public Schools. So that was the communication I had with Villar at this point. Okay, so I think we're all set with that then. You think?
Yeah,
Okay.
it should be soon, and once I get them in there, I gotta proof them all out. So it'll, like I said, it should be soon that they're in there. Hopefully, we'll like some of the reports that we can get from there. It'll be user friendly.
When you do this inventory, do you have a list of items? I think I gave you one for vehicles. Is that what you have for your inventory list? Do you put all that in there? As I gave you this copy of this before.
Of this right here, yeah, I
Vehicle
think I
equipment?
have it here, yeah.
Is that what you received from them to build your inventory?
Well, I take it from the invoice, so I put it in the, like this one, for example, the police department cruiser. I don't have a vehicle number, but I do have the year, the make, the model, you know, the VIN and all of that information. And I have when we purchased it, and then right here, the useful life expectancy, I assign it a useful life expectancy. It has a purchase date on it. So it has a lot of this information, yes,
Okay.
that's already in there.
And I downloaded some other ones too that are, and you can have this if you want, it's very detailed. If you want to use it, it's extremely detailed, but it goes through the type of building material, the type, you know, if it's a roof replacement, it goes through the type of roof that you would want to use, the interior, things like that. It's very, very detailed list.
So maybe some of these is what we'd use for like the capital requests,
Yeah.
where they can put some information on there and, yeah, probably would be good for me on some of it too, because a lot of the particulars, I don't know the details of it.
Okay, well, you can keep that. Thank you. All right. Joe, did you want to add anything?
No, just it's important the VIN number of the vehicle. That's the main thing. So
Yeah, we definitely have that, so that's how we can keep track of it.
The VIN numbers?
yeah.
The VIN,
Okay.
yeah, the VIN, yeah.
All right, thank you. Agenda item number 3, discuss establish a method of financing a capital improvement program. I'll turn this over to you, Mr. Town Manager. I did receive this memorandum.
Yeah. No, those are I think the 2014 financial policies that were established at that time that talked about, I didn't bring it, but there's a set, I think there's a guideline that they recommended for, when we get over here, that 7.5% to 8% of the operating budget. I want to say last year when we did that, Karen and I discussed that our total requests were right in line with that. The question, I guess, when you're talking about funding or financing, are you looking for a dedicated source? Because the reason I ask is the way we're listing things now, we list the source on there as many other communities do. Some comes from grants, some come from CDBG, things of that nature. So when you talk about financing, and we were looking at keeping a set range, or is this, it's on there as to discuss, but what are you looking for, how we're going to fund it? I mean, we take, when we put together our budget with all the revenues that come in, we're trying to guide that particular percentage. So I guess the question is that adequate for what we're trying to do, or are we trying to look at more or less? And then I guess once we know what our target is, then we start looking at where we're going to get the various funds.
Well, looking at this memorandum that you sent to me, I'm not sure it was ever approved. I just don't know. There's no way for me to go back to the minutes of that long ago. I do notice at the bottom, I request that council formally adopt these directives as part of our budget process. But I don't know if they ever did adopt this. I think that...
If I could, yes,
Sure, go
actually,
ahead.
the council did, and I believe I have the minutes in a book downstairs with those policies.
Okay.
So I can get that information to you.
And it was provided to me, I think, by Councilor Jovan in a book with all of our current standard operating procedures and policies, so that I can familiarize myself with them when I got here last.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just write down to find the minutes from the meeting, and I'll send it to the members of
Yeah,
the
well,
committee.
and what I was hoping that you could answer the question, how much do we want to dedicate to this? Because I think 7.5% to 8%, I don't think did you go that high with our operating budget? Did you take that much from the operating budget?
No, I think that I could bring the book in, but I want to say our total expenditures were approaching that point. I can go grab it, but I don't think it came all of our operating budget. That's what I'm saying. I think we leveraged the USRDA grant as well as some other monies that came from different sources, and I think even some of the sewer may have come out of the enterprise fund. So it was more total capital expenditures, I think, were in that range, if memory serves me correct, but they didn't come all out of our operating budget.
No. So the way I looked at it, about a little less than 2% of the operating budget went to our capital items. That's the way I was reading this. Go ahead.
If I could just ask too, the way that policy is written, and I'd have to read it, does it also include the debt that we're paying in the budget for the capital we've already borrowed for? And then we have to add to it additional expenses for, like from free cash or something like that we pay for? I would think so.
I'm thinking that's how it works.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and assess, but I think
Councilor Jovian.
Councilor Jovan, did you have something?
Yeah, I do have that policy in front of me. It was approved by the town council on June 10th, 2013,
Oh,
which was agenda item. Vote to accept policy directives in the FY 2014 budget message as part of the town's future budget process. So it was passed on that date.
Okay.
But Karen, I guess your question was, what does it say about the debt policy?
right, I would think it includes what we're paying off, the principal and interest payments plus anything new that we might purchase directly with town funds.
Yeah, so out of that message, the town will maintain annual general fund capital projects financing in a target range of 7 to 8% of current revenues within the levy limit. Capital budget financing shall include annual debt service
There
requirements,
you go, yeah.
short-term financing costs of capital expenditures, and direct appropriations for capital projects and equipment as defined in the capital budget program document.
Yeah, so it would include all that, Councilor Marquetti and Councilor Cavity.
yeah,
Yeah, so we'd have to go into the budget and look at what we're paying for principal and interest, and then anything else that might
It
come out
says
of free cash, stabilization, debt service,
yeah,
yeah.
it says inclusive
Yeah.
of the debt service.
So we can make sure that we look at that
Mhm.
when we're building this next budget, and then see if we're, what percentage we're meeting. And then talk about going forward.
Right.
What we feel a good percentage would be if we wanna amend the policy.
Okay. So basically, we do have a policy. It's not something that we are changing tonight at this point.
Right.
Well, if you want, I could do a quick survey of some other communities, ones close to us, similar to us, and even ones that aren't, just to see what other people, and I have some books and other materials on budgeting, and I want to say the MMA may have some. That doesn't sound unreasonable, that amount, but there are often guidelines that a lot of institutions look at in terms of how much you have in your reserves, your stabilization, how much debt you carry. So I could try and see if there's accepted ranges that they want to see in capital, because this was done, as was indicated, that's 2013, it was 8 years ago. There may be different, I don't want to say industry, we're not an industry, but the conventional wisdom may be that it should be higher or lower than these days. So why don't I take that as an action item to go look.
And I'm wondering if at some point we could discuss or think about starting an actual capital stabilization account where that's where the money would go into. Because, I look at since I've been on the council, at the end, during the budget season, we say our free cash is our capital money. And that, to me, that's not good planning in my own opinion. That's not capital planning. That's just, hey, we got this free cash and let's use it, and now we're calling it capital budget, whereas free cash is free cash and capital budgets are capital budgets. So I don't know, somewhere along the line, free cash became capital budget, and I don't know when that happened or why, so that's what I'm thinking, well, maybe we should establish a capital stabilization account. So what do you think of that?
Well, I'll look into that for you and, you know, can report back on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea. Free cash, I don't know if you remember, but many years back, we were using it as a funding source for the budget, which is what they recommend against. Then we eventually got away from that, which is a good thing, you know.
Okay,
I think it's only Massachusetts that refers to it as free cash, but in many seminars and things that I've attended over the years, they often encourage a budgeting style so that you have some of the surplus that you can use. But again, I'll review what others are doing as well to make sure we're consistent with the guidance that comes down from ICMA, MMA, and what others are doing in the Commonwealth.
okay. All right. Anything else?
Well, I have my association has a listserv, so I can put that out there too and asking if there's communities that have capital stabilization funds that they can share some information with me too. I
Okay.
can also go to the Department of Revenue and get some information.
Okay. Agenda item number 4, discuss capital request forms and capital budget. I did get this from the town manager, I did send this to you, and I made copies of it. These are capital project submission forms that the state recommends. I thought it was pretty good. I don't see why we wouldn't use this type of format if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I have a copy right here.
If that's what you're looking for, I would think
I don't know
that,
that it's drastically different. I mean, there are some similarities to what we're doing.
I actually think that this is a better format. I don't know what you think, but
I like the summary down underneath.
Yeah.
Too, I say summary, but it's also detailed out, so if there's a big capital project coming, you know, there's would be an estimate of the design, if we need any land, and I like that layout.
And then I did, you don't have it here, but I did transfer, excuse me, I did send you, I think, a link or two to a couple of different communities, at least one. One was Winthrop, and there was another community that I looked at recently where they translate a lot of the funding sources, those check boxes on the right side. They use, instead of the way we do it with multiple columns with things, it makes this so wide and
right,
large.
I noticed
Yeah,
that.
They
that's
just
true.
have a single column where they have the one letter code for the funding, so that you have the money, you just know where it's coming from, rather than we have different columns for each funding
I
source.
think it's hard to read because of how
Yeah,
the size of it.
yeah.
Yeah, I kinda like that too.
And I think that if you look on page 2, and that's what you were saying, down at the bottom there. and that
Like right here,
it's
yeah,
checked off.
recommended fund,
It's just
yeah,
checked
yeah.
off, you know,
Yep,
instead
the
of
little boxes
the
are
way
like,
we do it, and we have it all the way across like that, you know.
Yep.
I know,
It
makes
seems kind of cumbersome.
it is, I was just gonna say, it's very cumbersome that way.
And it makes it readable, and it should be readable not only for us in the room, but anybody else who's looking at it. So we should be able to do something without spending a lot of money. One or two of the towns who did it used a product called OpenGov, and there's some others. I don't think we need to spend the money to get fancy charts, because we can do that, you know, with Excel and for our needs here. But I think we can copy what some of those others are. I can get a screenshot and send it for what I'm referring to.
And one of those towns that you sent, I was looking at, and they showed an actual example of how they fill that out. Where they put a picture of the truck.
Yeah, and we, in my last town, we had a similar, you know, it's not that different from what we're doing. Like, they're all similar in nature, but the photograph, I think, as they always say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. You know, a picture of the item that you're looking to do, or maybe a map if it's going to be an area, if we're going to be doing a sidewalk or an area of town for paving, we should probably just have somewhere in there some type of graphic.
I think what we do in the past is say like if the fire department wanted a ambulance or something, they would attach a quote or something behind it that did have a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
A picture of it, but maybe we can make it fit in more.
Or we can always add it on top, because every year might change or something. You wanna keep this one, you know, you can adjust it every year, but the extra work on trucks, whatever, to be on attached, like
Yeah.
attachment A and B's, you know,
Yeah.
like this, you don't have to put it on the same page or something.
Right, yep, we could continue to do that too, if that's easier for,
So,
yep.
what do you think then? Do you think that the state's recommendation is the way you'd like to go with those forms and,
Either
or,
this or something very similar, do you think, Michael?
Well, you know what we could do if we wanted, you know, just in the interest of time, a lot of communities start in the fall thinking about it. I did send out an email it's getting close to 3 weeks ago, just to let people know to start thinking about it. And I said that we were working on this here, but for the moment, just utilize the existing sheets just to start to fill them out. We could take, if I can download directly from the state an actual Excel copy, we could tailor it, you know, customize it a little bit, put Southbridge and a few other things, and then send this out to folks so that they could start using it. And then after year one, if we go through the first year cycle, if counselors say, you know, this isn't bad, or I'd like to see this or this, though, you know, we could try it in this kind of stock form for the first year. Maybe create a field for a photograph. You know, I could play with it and send it around and see what people think.
okay.
Yeah. Might as well get it out there as soon as we can.
You can keep that if you want, just as a sample. Well, okay, I think that,
Good.
covered it pretty good
Do you
then.
Good
want
job.
to keep that or?
Job.
You know, we can.
Okay, yeah.
I sent him this, but
Oh, okay. Then
so
I'll-
you know what I'll do? I'll just take a photo
Oh,
to
okay.
remind myself
Yeah.
of which form.
And that way I can just keep it too.
Taking photographs of things is so much easier than copying things. I find nowadays.
Taking
As long as
notes,
you never lose that phone.
using your phone
huh?
for keeping notes is good too, I like
Oh
it.
yeah.
All right,
Or if you have an auto part, you take a picture, you go right to the, you show the guy.
I have one drive, when you take a picture, they load it automatic in the sky.
Oh, that's
and then-
true, into the cloud, is that
And
what
then
you
if
mean?
you lose it, you can
Yeah,
download them
that's
back, or
true,
you can
that's true.
delete them off your phone because too many pictures, and then you can go
Yeah.
to the, you know, one drive, you can take everything back.
Technology's changed so much.
They're called one drive.
Yeah.
okay, well, I think that's about it. I mean, I was going, go ahead, Counselor Jovan.
Yeah. Is it possible for you to email me a copy just so I can have it?
Yeah, what I'll do is, in the next day or so, Councilor Jovan, I will, or maybe after this meeting, if I can find the samples and materials I sent to Councilor Marquetti, I can just re-forward that email actually to everybody.
Oh, okay. We have it emailed down. I'll just keep this.
Yeah, I sent him the link to the state materials as well as some of the samples from some other towns, just as some format, so I'll share that with everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was my plan to do a final report after this meeting. However, if you want to meet again, I'd be happy to have another meeting. It's up to you. I don't know how many more meetings you wanted, because I know when we started, you asked that we get this done sooner rather than later, because you were already starting to send out
Well,
requests.
folks won't come to us, but I sent out, you know, a cover letter that we've used in the past as well as the old form, and told them that a new form would be forthcoming. But the letter was more to, you know, start people thinking about what their needs were. So I haven't received anything back from anybody yet. I know at least one department head said that they're working on it. So I think another week or so wouldn't really, you know, make a difference. If we come back, if I send out a mock-up or something and we talk about a few more things, it should be
Okay.
fine. The only thing I want to make sure, Councilor Jovan's on the phone, our the fire station building committee timeline that was in the newspaper postings, it's been conflicting on Thursdays. This week we actually moved the interviews to next Tuesday. Are we meeting on the 14th, Councilor Jovan, do you know? No, we're not at the moment.
No, we're not. We got the 12th of the interviews.
Is it?
And I expect to wrap everything up that night.
And I was gonna say, I think that's because some people couldn't make it on the 14th, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, they have the firefighters have their EM refreshers.
So we could meet on the 14th and there would be, at the same time, there would be no
I was just
conflict.
wondering if maybe we could wait a little bit, just to see if maybe I can get that list of the assets in and proof everything.
Oh, all right.
How about the 21st?
What is that when the meeting is for the fire station?
Or we don't have to meet on a Thursday.
Or wait when things done, and then you can let them know we're gonna schedule a meeting.
How about if I do that then?
Sounds
Let
good.
you know how it's going and then we'll schedule a meeting after that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds
Alright,
good.
so it's
And that way
10.
we can follow up on some of these items I said that we check out and we can have all the, we'll have some answers for you.
Alright,
some
sounds good.
information.
And then-
Okay, if there's nothing else, are we ready to adjourn? You have anything else, Councilor Jovan?
No, I'm all set.
Alright.
Give it to the link. I got off the road late, so it was nice to be able to just jump on. So thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
I don't know if, I'm not sure at the council meeting, Councilor Lazo mentioned something about the school. He liked to add it here with the,
Well, I mean, that's what I said, I did invite them,
yeah.
but I think he'd rather do it a different way, I guess.
Well, I think he'll follow whatever that he adopt. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry about Kenny. I know I was coming down 131 at about 5:30, and he was just pulling into his garage coming from work, so he may have been delayed because it was a nice day, but
Okay.
I know we passed each other, so I'm not sure what's up.
He's talking
Who was
about-
that?
He's talking about Lazo.
Oh, Councilor Lazo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll try again. Ask Valar if he wants to send someone. I would appreciate it. I think it'd be very helpful if they would attend, but
You never know.
no, I don't know either. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. All right, all those in favor of adjourning? Okay, thank you for attending.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
As soon as you let me know,
Yeah,
I'll schedule
yeah.
a meeting.
I'll try to do it maybe within a couple of weeks.
All right, thank you.